There's a topic that's been
all over the place.
All over the place the last week or so. The latest installation of the Marvel franchise has come out. It came out on February 17th, I believe.
Yes, very good.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania is the movie that came out. Now, the reason this is relevant to us, don't make faces off pod that people can't see. The reason this is relevant to this conversation, is that better?
Yes.
The reason this is relevant to this conversation is because the villain of this movie is played by Jonathan Majors, who is getting a lot of buzz these days because of this and other projects he is working on. Yeah, so Jonathan Majors is the villain of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yep.
He plays Kang the Conqueror.
Yep.
And, so as I said, he's getting a lot of buzz right now because this is Marvel is a huge deal.
Yes.
For anyone.
Yes.
And then he's also going to be playing alongside Michael B. Jordan in Creed 3, which is coming out in a few days.
Yes.
So I also think he has another movie coming out soon, but I don't remember the title. So yeah, he's out and about and on the scene, and he is
on the come up.
He is on the come up. So he's getting magazine features, and he's doing a lot of interviews and things like that.
Yep.
And so Ebony Magazine.
Is that the Valentine's Day one too, or no? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Ebony Magazine on Valentine's Day releases a cover, their March cover of Ebony and Jonathan Majors. It was actually a really cool cover because it's a digital cover, so it was moving.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he's like...
What was it doing? It was what?
He's actually... I think it's really cool what you can do with digital now because they're showing, like, it was the cover, but he was, like, in the cover, but he was, like, moving around in the cover. He was not doing this, by the way. But it's him in boxing attire. His top half is naked, and then, or he's shirtless, I should say, and he's, like, throwing roses and things like that. He has, like, roses in his teeth and
that's the one I saw.
All of that, yeah. And then... so that was Valentine's Day. A week later, Ebony releases another, like almost like an alternative cover of him in a pink feathery jacket. I think he was wearing jeans, and he's like sitting at the top of a couch, if I'm not mistaken. His legs are crossed, which I just learned is called cock shaming. I did not know that. I didn't even totally fact check that. I googled cock shaming, but I see a few definitions of what cock shaming is, because people also believe cock shaming to be women speaking negatively about men's penises. So
that is the more logical definition.
Yes, but I guess cock shaming, from what we learned, was that, when you're like crossing your legs and not allowing your penis to be free, you are cock shaming.
So what we saw, they said that cock shaming is when a man is not allowing his penis to be in view.
Yeah.
He is purposely guarding and hiding the penis, the cock, from the view of the people, usually by crossing of the legs.
That was very eloquently said.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, Also, cock has always been a weird word, but anyway, neither here nor there. I just feel like
I have like 22 thoughts, but I'm gonna be quiet.
I just think it's a really aggressive word.
It's supposed to be.
Kind of like the other C word that is used to refer to women. It's really aggressive. But anyway, that's not, whatever. So
he's being accused now of cock shaming.
Cock shaming. He's also there's an uproar about it because
about his cover, not
about the cover, because people feel like this is emasculating towards Black men. Oh, he also like purses his lips, kind of like he's doing duck lips.
Yes. At the same time as the picture, and y'all saw it already, but he's perking out his lips. He's got on a pink coat. He's got on some super tight jeans and some like weird looking boots, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
The shoot, I think that it is perceived as a more effeminate portrayal of him.
And you're saying this is what people are saying.
This is right. So people are seeing the pink. They're seeing his legs crossed. They're seeing him
Luther lips
doing the lips, doing something with his lips. Which I just want to point out that Jonathan Majors is a man who he really can't hide his lips. So it's very.
Some of us can't.
It's also.
Just being honest.
It's also.
We got lips. Jonathan Majors is the kind of person who can't hide his lips.
Right. I just want to point that out because
But there's a difference when you, or whatever he did. I can't do it.
Is that what he did? Let me see it again. Let me see it again. Show me.
That's the Luther lips. Luther lips. Luther lips are kind of like. That's not the Luther lips. I don't know.
Anyway,
there's a difference between your lips existing and you perking them out.
I understand. What I was going to say is that in a photo shoot, a lot of frames get taken, right? Yes. So you're encouraged to move around and engage with the camera, and then that turns into, it's kind of like when you do a burst on your phone, and you end up with all of these images, one after the other, of your different movements. So if he went to say something, or he whatever,
it's like, hey, you.
There are a lot of different reasons why. Or they could have just said, hey, like, give us some duck lips. And he said, okay, fine. We don't know. We weren't there. We weren't at the shoot. The point
was like, yo, show us your best impression of a Luther Vandross covers.
Are you going to be? Say you're going to be.
Exactly.
Say you're going to be. Anyway, so.
Yo, we almost made it through a pod without you singing. Look at that.
Almost.
You snuck it in there.
Yeah.
Good job. Yeah. We gotta compile all the times you sing into like
we should, yeah,
a clip.
Into some sort of montage.
Chris, put that in the notes, Chris.
You got that, Chris?
A clip of all the times that she's just go to every episode and just
go to
some episodes she sings more than once. You got it? Alright. You got it.
Anyway.
Yeah, so the shoot.
So people feel a way about it. Not everyone. Some people feel a way about
it. At the same time, look at that.
Some people feel like it's emasculating to Black men. It's this in some circles, not all. In some sections of the internet, I should say, this photo is being painted, or this series of photos is being painted as some sort of conspiracy or contribution to the conspiracy against Black men.
Yeah.
And it is meant to be, people believe that it is meant to emasculate Black men, and I guess take away their manhood.
So what they're referring to is there's a conversation that has been going on for years and years and years about how Hollywood specifically tries to feminize, emasculate, humiliate, and weaken the image of the straight black man. And there's a lot of talk about how you have to wear a dress in order to evolve your career and go past certain pillars or plateaus. And they're saying, not me, I'm just explaining the conversation, that this is part of that he is on the rise. And because of that, they're taking this now super buff, cut up, beautiful black man and trying to make him look weaker, softer, feminine, less masculine, less powerful. That is the conversation. Continue.
Well, I'm just going to give my a quick opinion about it. I don't have a whole lot to say about it because I just feel like sometimes photos are photos, and sometimes, like, I think if Vogue magazine, which is a very white, very traditionally white-centered magazine, it's been head up by the same woman for however many years, Anna Wintour. I think if this was something like Vogue or one of the other magazines that are under like the Condé Nast umbrella or whatever, then I might think that this is what this was. I think that the fact that this is Ebony Magazine, where their CEO is black, where there are probably a lot of black voices in the room when things are happening, when decisions are being made, and I'm happy to admit to that being wrong if that's the case, because I do understand that sometimes even when you are in a space that is supposed to center blackness, sometimes it does not. Having worked for a company that was central to black people but also owned by white people, right. It's a very complicated situation.
Yeah.
And sometimes the whiteness does travel around, and so I totally understand that. So I'm please correct me if I'm wrong on this. I don't have insight into what happens at Ebony Magazine personally. But I don't know if the people at Ebony would go out of their way. I think, were they trying to be provocative? And I think they've admitted that since this has caused an uproar. Yes, I think they were trying to be provocative. I think they were trying to challenge the norm and push boundaries.
And start conversation
with this, and ignite conversation. I think that's absolutely what they were trying to do. I just don't know if I believe that the intention was to strip Jonathan Majors and black men in general of their masculinity or of their manhood, or I think that the conversation that we're having is the one that is with white supremacy. And when you bring that into a space that was supposed to be safe for all of us, that is a largely black space, what are we doing? I'm happy to have the conversation about it. I think it's totally relevant to talk about how the media portrays black men. I just think that in this particular instance, who are we fighting with? Ourselves?
Yes.
And is that really what happened? Or is that just the way we talk a lot about, like, there's these different sections of people, especially on the internet. There's a section of people on the internet who are always going to say that everything is against the black man, right? Or always going to say that everything is against black people. I think sometimes we have to ask ourselves, though, like, where did this come from? Who wrote the article? Who managed the photo shoot? Like, I think those things are relevant before we get to the point where we're like, oh, they were trying to emasculate black men, or they were trying to take away Jonathan Majors' manhood. I also don't believe the assertion that Jonathan Majors had no choice, because I know that's a part of the conversation, that someone made him do this. They can't make you do anything, like they can strongly encourage. They can also say, I won't work with you if you don't want to adhere to what we've decided. I don't know if I believe that that's what's happening over at Ebony Magazine with black actors and singers and whoever else they're putting on their covers, because it's a different conversation when other black people are in the room. So I had a hard time with this reaction, not because I think that anything regarding the conversation around emasculating black men or portraying black men in a negative way. I absolutely think that exists. And I absolutely think that it's worth the conversation. I just don't know if that's what happened here.
Gotcha.
And that's been my frustration with it. I'm like, okay, but is that really what happened? Like, if Essence would have posted it, it probably would have been the same situation. I feel like I'm a little bit closer to Essence because I've actually interacted with people who have worked there over the years and whatever. And again, had Essence been the one to put that out, I don't think that it would have been because of the fact that they were somehow trying to strip this man of his masculinity or his manhood. And honestly, if this particular man felt like he was being stripped of that, then I would hope that he would have spoken up and he would have said so. And I hope that he would have walked away from it if that were truly the case. The hangups that we have about the problems and the issues that we have in our community, I think it's okay to have those frustrations and it's okay to start conversations about them, but then we don't need to wait for Jonathan Majors to cross his legs and purse his lips before we have that conversation. That was my takeaway.
Gotcha. Okay. So, number one, good art pushes boundaries.
Yes.
Good art challenges the status quo.
Absolutely.
This accomplished both of those.
Indeed.
Check. Check.
100%.
Next. Jonathan Majors and the person in charge of the photo shoot said publicly at this point that this version of the photo shoot, this cover that's causing all the commotion, all the commotion, air quotes.
Come on, come with the facts, because I know you got the,
Yeah. Was inspired by a character.
And you're the... that's how we do things.
Good cop, bad cop?
Yes, I bring the emotion and you bring the facts. So come on, because I know you got it.
Was inspired by a character from an anime called One Piece. And so they looked at this particular character and tried to bring that character to life, so to speak.
Yep.
And so that should cancel out all that other shit.
All of it.
But wait, there's more. Even if it was not inspired by the anime character, let's say they made that up. They didn't, but just make believe. Like we used to say when we were littler, right? Even if they did make that shit up, and that's not the case, he just saw a pink feathery coat and wanted to put it on. Why is that a problem? Prince wore all type of wild shit.
Who else?
Well, hold on. Let me do it. Let me not go too far back.
Because there's a list.
Because I know, but I'm not going to use the list that we already saw. I'd like to go somewhere different.
Okay.
I'd like to go somewhere more recent. Cameron made pink famous for the hood.
And had a coat very similar to the one that Jonathan Majors was wearing.
He had everything pink.
He did.
And not
the
only
big
was
earrings.
And not only was Cameron never said to be emasculated, Cameron was championed, and a lot of people started mimicking that Cameron pink fashion.
Yep.
But wait.
Yep.
There's more.
Because men wearing pink is definitely like a 2010s type of thing.
Last pod.
In the 2000s thing. Yeah.
Last pod. I said, I was digging Trevor Noah's pink suit. Then I even said, wait, maybe it's not pink, maybe it's salmon. Because I listened back to our last episode too. So if Trevor Noah can do it,
nobody questions.
If Cameron can do it, if Prince can do it, I wore pink last pod.
You did. You probably wear more pink than I do.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, and why not?
And that brings me to my next point, which is there was a whole movement of like real men wear pink. Yes. Wasn't that like the movement?
Yes.
And so
that's why I'm saying
I don't
feel
understand.
Like that's a 2010s type.
I don't understand where this comes from. Now, I do believe that Hollywood shit is true. I do believe there's clear evidence where, hey, this person threw on a dress and they went way up. Mm-hmm. This person did a record with this other person and their shit went way up. Mm-hmm. I do totally believe that is true. But that doesn't mean it's the case every time somebody throws on some stylish shit. And Kanye, the person who many people champion for fashion, also wore pink plenty of times. In fact, didn't he wear it in like the first? No, in Through the Wire, he didn't have pink on. But in All Falls Down, didn't he have pink on?
Of course you would remember, but
I think he did.
I believe
and he talks about that as one of the challenges in his early albums. Mm-hmm. Before Cameron, I was wearing pink and polos and tight clothes. And so why can't Jonathan Majors do it?
And
because niggas is haters.
But and then it became. Oh, maybe you should say that first before I pivot.
I don't know what you was about to say. I just want to say, and cock shaming is hilarious to me.
Oh, it's so funny.
Oh man,
it's so funny. I did not know that it was a thing.
I might have to take that to my solo pod and do a whole piece on it.
Please do, because that's fascinating. If you don't use it, I will. So go ahead and take it.
We'll talk off pod.
Yeah. Yeah, because it also became a conversation about, which I don't want to call it a smaller conversation, but a different conversation about his sexuality.
Who cares?
And then it was like, well, yes, who cares? But also, like you said, no one questioned Cameron's sexuality when Cameron was wearing his pink fur coat
in a pink car
with a pink car and all of that.
With a pink beanie.
Everybody thought it was cool.
With pink earrings on that were dangling.
Thank you. No one ever questions, and I'm talking about the type of people who feel this way. Don't really question Prince. They just say, "Oh, Prince was what he was," and that was
unicorn.
Yeah, Prince was dope. Don't talk about Prince. Okay, but Prince was one of our first iterations of, for a lot of us in a certain generation, he Prince was Prince. Nobody said, "Oh, In fact, I think Prince was probably more champion, like, "Oh, Prince is getting all the bitches," which. I don't speak like that. But I'm trying to speak through the voice of the person who thinks that this is emasculating to men, right?
Right.
I
also think, like, you're just, like, making shit up at a certain point. Like, sometimes you see something. Sometimes you see something and you're like, hey, that look a little funny to me, no? But other times, it's like, all right, if they shoot down a balloon from the sky, and say it was a Chinese balloon and we don't really know what it is, all right, I can understand the UFO talks. Mm-hmm. But if a kid is just flying his kite and loses the string and it just happens to be flying in the sky, now it's like, all right, son.
Right.
Kites.
Right.
Kites.
Right.
So you just can't wear shit no more.
No. And I, you know what? I think that he will benefit from this in a big way because people are paying attention to him, right?
Yeah.
So that's great for him. But also now, like, you got people accusing you of kind of sort of coming out and all kinds of shit like that. It doesn't matter. It's none of your business. Even whether it's true or it's not true or whatever, you should not take away from a photo shoot unless that was the intention of a photo shoot. You should not take away from a photo shoot a person's entire life story.
But that's the other thing too, because
we don't know what's real and what's fake anymore. Like as a group, we don't know what's real and what's fake anymore. Like we don't understand the difference between like media and internet shit and real life.
Oh yeah, the lines have been blurred big time on purpose.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You were about to say
Matrix.
Something.
That's a fact. Like this is the Matrix for real. You ain't like that one, or that was Neo dodging?
That was Neo.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
It's just that, on the couch, you can't really...
It's hard to... Yeah, all that. all of that.
I'm like, I have a cramp, so please.
I'm done.
Let's keep this going. You were about to say something. I'm sorry.
I don't even remember. It's gone.
I'm sorry about that.
Maybe on the next one.
Maybe on the next one. Well.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Part of being in a photo shoot is now you're taking on the role of a model. I would imagine
Playing a role.
Right. I would imagine that an actor who's told to be a model for the day is trying to get into his role. And so now let's have a real conversation about modeling, which goes back to my first 2 points of art pushing boundaries and challenging status quo. If Jonathan Majors was naked with another naked man on top of him, isn't that like model shit?
Could be.
I'm being extreme.
It could be, depending on
extreme.
Yeah, sure.
But when you go to the modeling aspect, there's all types of nudity, risque, erotic, quote unquote homoerotic, which I don't really like the term.
I don't like the term either.
I'm just saying these are the things we see and call out, or rather don't call out when it's modeling. And so there's all type of images of like a man naked like this, and then people touching him, and you don't know if it's a man or a woman, or sometimes it's clearly men. No one says, "Oh, that model is gay, like super gay."
But this is also what happens when people don't know you, and you are now on the rise, and there is someone new on the scene to talk about. Okay. Because again, certain people would have never gotten the same smoke, or when there are certain people who wouldn't be questioned this hard.
Didn't Michael B. Jordan just get a bunch of buzz for wearing pink on the red carpet?
Yeah, I think it was a pink cardigan and some wide leg pants.
I'm done here.
Listen, if you want to see how men's fashion today really pushes boundaries,
they wear women's clothing.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm just saying, I follow GQ on
socials,
on Instagram. And the reason I do is not necessarily because I want to look at the men, but because I think that it's really interesting the way they dress them when they're in the magazine, but also they feature like men out and about, like celebrity men out and about. So they featured, that's how I knew about the pink cardigan and the wide leg pants, because they posted Michael B. Jordan. They post all kinds of things. They'll do their own specific shoots where they try to push the boundaries when it comes to men's fashion. Yeah. And I just find it really fascinating because I think it's one of the few places, at least for me, that I know of, that you can go and you can see how men really do express themselves in a very interesting way. And let's be honest, men's fashion is very limited. Like fashion that is specific to men, that is created for men's bodies, is very limited. Women have a lot more options. There's a lot more variables that get put into the mix. The one shoulder here and the slit leg over there.
Just the nipple covered like little kids. No, I'm kidding.
And men kind of work with shirt and pants and a jacket and, maybe some headgear or something like that. Right. It becomes very limited. Like, we have hats, but then we have headbands, and then we have like half hats, like a fascinator or whatever.
I've never even heard the word fascinator before. I'm not joking.
Look at you learning things.
Wow.
Look at you learning things today. There's so many different things. So I think that it's always interesting to see how men push the boundaries. They also featured A$AP Rocky recently, where he was wearing some wide leg pants. It was a suit, but to me it looked like some pants I would wear.
I saw it. And he's also a person who pushes the limits on fashion.
And has been for years.
Right. I'm about to say, they like to say he's a very fashion forward.
Yeah. They don't question anything, They heard that his woman was Rihanna. They never said, oh, he's in the closet, or which they have accused Kanye of.
That's the term?
She's his
beard. Yeah, they never said that was the beard.
That. They used to say that Kim was Kanye's beard.
I'm familiar.
But, yeah, they don't do that to everybody. No. Whoever they are. They don't do that to everybody. And I don't know. I just, on one hand, I was like, I'm glad people are talking about him, because I think that he is a really interesting actor. I think the roles that he plays is really interesting. Like, he's really good at being sinister. which that's why I'm kind of, I don't know. I don't want him to get typecast. I want to see him do other things.
I don't think he has been typecast. I think he's doing everything and anything right now.
No, I just mean like down the line. I don't mean today, but because
I think he's doing well balancing. Like, yeah, he's Kang. I don't know what he was in Lovecraft Country. I didn't watch it, but he's in like the movie Being the First Black Air Pilot or whatever it was. Devotion.
That I didn't see.
Me either, but I'm saying he's in that. He's not a bad guy in there.
No.
In Creed, he's the bad guy. What's the other movie he was in?
I don't remember.
It's another movie I saw with him in, and he's got range, and I think that he's doing a good job of showing that. I don't think he'll be typecast, but yes, he's on the rise. He's on the rise, and even in him playing the bad guy in Ant-Man, you saw him, struggling and hopeless, and later it changed, which I'm not going to spoil it, but
right. And I think that's why I say that too, because I know Ant-Man just came out, and then Creed is coming out, and I know he's supposed to play the bad guy. I mean, at least that's the way they're giving it to us.
Ant-Man?
No, in Creed. At least that's the way they're giving it to us. But there's something about him. He has like this very subtle demeanor about him. He's not an actor who is over the top in the way they act. And it almost gets you a little bit. Because like when you're watching him as King the Conqueror, you're like, wait, is he a good guy? Or is he bad? Or
he's got range.
It's almost in his role with Marvel, he's almost like very quietly maniacal. And I enjoyed that very much. But, now I'm just going off on a tangent.
Sorry.
But anyway, I think that's it. I think that's all we got, right?
Yeah, I ain't got nothing else. They got to stop with the bullshit.
They do.
It's ridiculous. Well, you said grabbing at straws, that's the term?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard that in a long time. But yes, that is what's happening. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of crazy, but, not surprising. So, all right, well,